We've got the initial tally of ballots returned in California in the November 4th special election on Proposition 50, Gavin Newsom's corrupt redistricting scheme. And it spells trouble for the no side. What we have to do to redouble our efforts to win. Plus, are some ballots being returned and showing a no vote to election officials so that maybe they can discard them? Coming up, I'll tell you that yes, in some counties, your vote may be seen from outside of the envelope and what you can do to shield that. All that and more coming up. I'm Carl DeMaio, chairman of Reform California and a California state representative, with an important update on the fight to defeat Proposition 50. This is the special election that's going on right now, and you should have a ballot already, and I'm hoping you're going to return it with a no vote now this week. But Prop 50 is Gavin Newsom's corrupt redistricting scheme. We are in receipt of the first ballot returns from the Secretary of State's office because we get to monitor which ballots are being returned statewide. And I got some bad news. It's not looking good for the no side, but there's still time for us to close the gap. Also, Sacramento County, Ventura County, and several other counties are being accused of creating an envelope that discloses which ballots, when they're returned, are the no votes. Is this the way in which they perhaps can discard certain votes? We're going to address that coming right up. But first, we need you off the couch and into the fight, because Prop 50 would be a body blow, a serious attack to our democracy. It would undermine fair elections by allowing politicians to rig the lines of the districts. And therefore, politicians get to choose voters versus voters choosing politicians. So we have to spread the word to all of our friends, family, and neighbors ASAP that there is a special election going on, and we urge them to vote no on Prop 50. So go to our campaign headquarters, our website, defendfairelections.org. Defendfairelections.org has all the arguments as to why people should vote no on Prop 50. And what I want you to do is share that website. I also need you to chip in a contribution at that site, defendfairelections.org. It is vital that we get more gas in the tank to get messages out to voters in time for them to cast a no vote in this election. Let me tell you where we are. We started this election down 5 percentage points, and all the polling shows that the yes side is about 50% to 54% yes vote. 3 or 4 polls in a row, even Republican polls, shows that it's hovering around 50%. Not in safe territory. A ballot measure that's around 50% can easily be dragged below 50%, 49, 48, 47%. But right now, the polling shows that 54% support the measure. This is according to the latest poll, which is the coefficient poll. 54% support Prop 50, 36% opposed, 10% unsure. That means we're down by about 5 points still in all the polling. Now, this gap can be closed, but it's going to take an extraordinary education effort of neighbor telling neighbor, friend telling friend, mom telling daughter, dad telling son. We've got to get word of mouth going. I do believe that this is still winnable. I do not believe that this is going to be won by TV ads. The TV ads are not going to move the numbers. You personally are going to touch someone, educate them, reach them, inspire them, and change their vote. And that's why you got to get loud, and you got to get equipped with all of the no on Prop 50 materials that we can get you. So the first thing is that website, defendfairelections.org. And secondly, when you go to that website, click under events and join me at one of my upcoming events where I will give you no on Prop 50 lawn signs, no on 50 palm cards to give out to friends, as well as the California Voter ID Initiative petition, which we need your signature on. We need 1 million signatures to put voter ID on the ballot. And I'll give you extra petitions to circulate amongst your friends and family and return them to us. So go to defendfairelections.org. We've got a close 5-point gap in this poll. We can do that. But here are the initial ballot returns. And I know they're saying, Carl, How do you know the initial numbers? Isn't that not known until election day? Yes. How people vote, with rare exception, and I'll tell you the exception in a moment, an appalling exception. But we don't know how people are voting until election day, but we know who is voting. And so we know that Democrats tend to support Prop 50 and that Republicans tend to oppose Prop 50. And so we can track which ballots have been returned, not how they're voting. So here is a statewide tracker. It's done by Optic. It's one of the companies that provide voter data. There are 10,367,000 Democrat registered voters in the state, most of whom are in cemeteries dead. 39,733 of those ballots have been returned. So only a small little piece. But take a look at registration share. I'm going to zoom in here. Registration share versus what's been returned. So 45% of that 10 million represents 45% of our electorate registered to vote, the voter rolls. But 55% of ballots returned, 55.7%, are Democrat. So they are outperforming their voter registration by 10.7%. Republicans are 25% of the electorate. They're only giving 23.9% of the ballots so far. So they're underperforming their share of the electorate. Now, these are the initial results. This is only 40, 50, 60, 75,000 ballots, give or take. That's a drop in the bucket. So this initial data may be misleading, may be skewed, but it's not a good data set to start with because Democrats are very enthusiastic and they're overperforming. Republicans are underperforming their share. It makes sense? So what we need to do is we need to boost the turnout of Republican voters ASAP in the special election and urge them to vote no on Prop 50. So I'm going to keep sharing with you these updates each week and in my email updates to you. By the way, if you're not on my email list, go back to that website, defendfairelections.org, and you can get my weekly email wrap-up with all news that we cover each week on that website, defendfairelections.org. Go to the bottom of that website and put in your first name, last name, email, phone, and zip code. Sign up, and you'll get the updates. Now, here's something that I need to share with you. Remember when I said we know what ballots are returned, but we don't know how they voted? Appallingly, shockingly, corruptly, there are some counties that have designed envelopes that allow you to see how the voter voted. And that's illegal. That's unethical. That is fraudulent. And so in Sacramento County, you see this ballot right here that was posted on X? This is a guy who lives in Sacramento. And the envelope is supposed to have your signature on the outside, your date, and it's supposed to shield your ballot. What they do is they verify that you are, in theory they verify, but they don't really. That's why we need voter ID. But they verify that this is a legitimate voter. They signed it, they dated it. And then once they verify that, then they open the envelope, take the ballot out, and process them. Do you see that little hole? Let me zoom in. See that hole on the outside of the envelope? You see what's underneath there? It's a bubble with a black mark in it. That's a no vote. This is outrageous. This is illegal. This is in violation of every single campaign standard, practice, and law. That you have an envelope showing how the person voted. I'm calling on the Sacramento Board of Supervisors to terminate, to fire the Sacramento County Registrar of Voters for felony incompetence. And I'm calling for a criminal investigation of this mismanagement. I believe that this is willful because this eviscerates people's confidence in participating in an election. You want to talk about horse shit. This is horse shit. This is voter fraud. This is lack of integrity. And the registrar of voters who's allowing this to happen should be terminated immediately. Instead of the registrar saying, oh my goodness, we made a mistake. This is appalling. I'm so sorry. The registrar is defending this malfeasance and incompetence. In a story posted on CBS, the registrar of voters claims that, no big deal. People can just turn their ballot upside down. No, the envelope is supposed to be designed so that no matter which way a ballot is put in the envelope, no one can see it. So here's CBS News. Sacramento County ballot envelope polls draw concerns ahead of Proposition 50 election. And the Sacramento County Registrar says, no, election integrity is not at risk. The holes serve a purpose. They serve a purpose. I'll tell you what purpose it serves, so that the government workers processing these ballots can know which ones to discard. But the Registrar of Voters Office says it's a non-issue. They're very important. There's a couple of reasons why we have holes. Something to give people to feel for when they are when they sign their ballot. It gives them something to feel so they know where to sign their ballot. What? People need something to feel to know where they sign their ballot for visually impaired voters. Then you need to design the inside of the ballot so no matter which way you put it in the envelope, you can't see through one of those insane holes. That's the solution. And that is the requirement under election law, is that the ballot envelopes and ballots themselves be designed to protect the secrecy of the ballot. This is a blatant violation of California and federal voting laws and standards. Ventura also has the same problem, and I don't know about other counties, but you ought to be very careful in how you put in your ballot to make sure that your vote does not show through any holes that might be on there. Finally, headline: ahead of special election, LA County voter receives ballot addressed to person who died 31 years ago. You can't make this crap up. But Democrats say, we don't need voter ID. We don't need to audit the voter rolls. Everything is hunky-dory. It's perfectly fine. And now we have holes in ballots to figure out how people are voting. It serves a purpose. We know what purpose it serves. This is outrageously corrupt. But this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a corrupt election that violates every single constitutional standard. 7 of them, by the way, that we sued on in the Supreme Court of California, all liberal justices, they don't care. And the election itself is designed to allow politicians to rig the maps of elections. Everything about this election screams lack of integrity, from the item that's on the ballot to the way in which it's being conducted. And the liberal media says, there's no evidence of voter fraud. Everything is perfectly fine. Bitch, please. I am so angry about this because it is wrong. And so, look, the powers that be are not going to play fair. Might makes right in their book. That is exactly how they operate. And so we need a full-on rebellion, which leaves me to my last assignment. In addition to turning out the vote for no on Prop 50, I need you to go to the website, voteridinitiative.com. voteridinitiative.com. That is our campaign headquarters for our California Voter ID Initiative signature drive. On that website, you can click sign the petition, you can print the petition, sign, and mail it back to me. But I would like you to do something else. I'd like you to volunteer to collect more signatures. So if you click volunteer, you can sign up there, and I will mail you a long form petition packet to get multiple signatures, not just your own. And finally, if you can donate, chip in a contribution, because guess what? Whether it's these insane ballot envelopes with holes in them, or someone who died 31 years ago getting a ballot, we have to clean up the integrity of our elections. And that's where the California Voter ID Initiative comes in. And that's why we need 1 million signatures to put it on the ballot. So go to that website, voteridinitiative.com. Help us get it done. That's the update on Prop 50. I wish it was a better update, but I'm always going to give you the truth. I'm always going to let you know where we stand. We can still win, but it's going to take all of us working and fighting as hard as we can for the next 3 weeks. Until next time, I'm Carl DeMaio, Chairman of Reform California and a California State Representative. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. But before you click away, please subscribe to this channel and click that notification button so you get updated when we post new episodes. Plus, like this video and share it with your friends so that we can help spread our message across the state. Reform California with Carl DeMaio is paid for by Carl DeMaio for State Assembly.